All right. Welcome everyone to our second CWCT event this month. If you were able to attend last week, we did a really exciting alumni panel. We had 6 of our alumni that graduated the program and have made a career in cybersecurity or IT come out and present a little bit about what the program was like for them, but also a little bit about transition from the military and what the program was like, how it helped them to get that job that they were looking for. And we're very, very fortunate to have IBM, hopefully maybe a partner of our program in the future, coming out here tonight to talk a little bit about what their company is, what opportunities they have, and also just a little bit about kind of that transition from, being a student and looking to different careers, especially ones with a company as great as IBM. And I have the pleasure of, before I introduce them, but Michael and I, um, friends, and we kind of had a funny way of meeting each other, and it's really just a testament to networking in this world. If you've been to any of these before, I talk a lot about just the fact that no matter where you are, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're in the classroom, or whether you're out in the world, have your business card with you and get ready to share your LinkedIn because you don't know who you're going to connect with. And honestly, that was a random event by me getting to meet Michael with IBM, and here we are now hosting an event in collaboration. So, and I'm joined tonight. Before I introduce the IBM folks, I'm here tonight with my close colleague Josie. So we're CWCT staff. We are happy to be here. We have very little information to give you tonight, though. We're just happy that you've taken the time to come here from uh, IBM, and they're going to go through a bit of a presentation. I've turned on the Q&A feature of the Zoom call, so if you have questions, please utilize that. We'll be monitoring the chat, and we should have time towards the end of the slide deck and the presentation for questions and responses from the group. So this will be recorded, but again, please save your questions for the end. IBM has got a great presentation for us tonight. And without further ado, I'll introduce Michael. Michael's with IBM, and again, we met through networking, and I think that's really awesome. We've had a lot of great conversations about what this program is like and what you all bring to the table in terms of being veterans, being first responders, and being CWCT cybersecurity students right now. So, Michael, thank you so much for bringing your team out tonight from IBM. Thank you for it's a Thursday night. We're coming on a 3-day weekend. I appreciate y'all making the time to share with our students all the great information about your company.
Yeah, no, of course. And thank you for having us. We're very excited to have this conversation with you all. Our intention for the session is for it to be collaborative and to have those questions be asked. We're coming at this from a standpoint of representation of members of our IBM consulting practice, members of our cybersecurity practice. We have kind of a full breadth and width of this. One item, Steve, or whoever is managing the participant piece, my other colleague Carolyn might join at some point. So when she does, if you could spotlight her as well, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Is that I think Carol? Oh,
It's like
Carol.
Carol and then Lynn. Yeah, all one word.
Okay, I'll look
Yeah.
out for it. Thank you. No
All
problem.
right, cool. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna pull up my screen here. We do have a slide deck to go through here. It's more of an assistance in the talk track, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, we acknowledge that everyone loves PowerPoints, right? At the end of the day, what we're really trying to go through and talk about is how to get a pretty good understanding of who IBM is and what we are as a company, and really get a better understanding of, as you all are coming, to the end of your program potentially, or your education for this program. If you're looking for a job within tech or looking for a job with IBM, what does it look like to work with us as a company? Give you a better understanding of, as a company at IBM. Most people know us from maybe their parents worked for us or they had family members that worked for us. But IBM is kind of a new tech, or is rebranding themselves as a continuing to be an AI leader. And so, kind of give you all a brief history of IBM, understanding what we do right now, because we do have a plethora of things that we work on. It's not just building mainframes anymore or building out typewriters or old-fashioned washing machines, which is apparently something we used to do in the early days. But how you can kind of understand what is our labyrinth of our landscape, and then on top of that, what do we typically look for in candidates, and how can you get connected further, be it networking or additional training, to help you solidify your candidacy within one of our many programs and offerings. Just one other item. We're looking for this to be an open conversation. So again, please feel free to leverage the chat and the questions I'll be asking as we go through the different sections. if there were any Q&A items that were raised as we kind of go through the topics. We will also have a session or a piece at the end to talk about, just open forum questions from anything we presented or anything we didn't present on. And if we have any feedback or anything else like that, please feel free to, again, provide it in the chat. So with that said, I'm going to transition into introduction. So hopefully Carolyn's joined, but if she has not, we'll skip over her and come back. But I'll also have the other members of my team introduce themselves. But to kick it off, my name is Michael Modrak. I am our AI data strategy lead for North America within our communications and telecom industry. What that basically means is I'm a data person who happened to get into the AI space because of the way that IBM has been directionally aligning itself as an AI leader. A lot of the work that I do is more strategic thinking. So I work with executives mostly to build out what would be their future state for enabling AI within the education space or AI within the telecommunications. So like any of the big major carriers, if you think about it that way. Each one of these QR codes, by the way, are connections to our LinkedIn if you want to network with us, hint, hint. But you're more than welcome to, reach out. We always are happy to take feedback or not trying to get feedback, but questions about how we got started, etc. I've been a lifelong consultant, so that's how I got started. But I will pass it on to Carolyn if she's on.
Do not see her on.
Okay, she's power outages in her area. So Nathan, do you want to kick it off and give us an introduction?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So my name is Nathan Chang. I started off professionally in software a long time ago, back in about 1998. As a programmer, I spent a little more than 10 years in the software space with various startups. Then I got an MBA and started working as a strategy consultant. And so that's what I've been for the past 15, 16 years, working in strategy. I came to IBM about 7 years ago. To this enterprise strategy team where we help our clients with strategy. Cybersecurity strategy is something that many clients are interested in now too. And that's one of the areas that I focus on. Another area that I focus on is innovation and then just overall enterprise transformation. And just to let you all know, I have to go at the top of the hour. So if you have any questions specifically for me, you'll have to interrupt somebody and ask me.
Thanks, Nathan. Kai, do you want to do an introduction?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kai. I've been with IBM for 8 months now, but my background, like you, most of you, I spent 8 years in the Navy. Booyah to all my shipmates out there. Then spent some time at Accenture in the cybersecurity consulting space. Then at Amazon as a senior program manager within strategy and risk, and now I'm in the technology space here at IBM. My focus is helping clients to see the return on their investment throughout our different technologies.
Awesome. Thanks, Kai. And Jobin, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, great to meet you guys. My name is Jobin Matthew. I have maybe a non-traditional background. I started off in engineering. I was working at Bell Flight, who makes the V-22 Osprey, and was a flight test engineer for the Osprey, and did that for a few years. Then I got into something called incident response. I worked for a company called Raytheon and did incident response for their Patriot missile program. I was overseas for 4.5 years supporting that. And then I moved into incident response consulting full time at a different company that got acquired, and then came to IBM and have been in their security architecture group. I'm mainly focus on architecture for manufacturing clients. So basically anything that has a factory, something that we try to help uplift and secure for our different clients. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, and I appreciate it. I don't think I've seen Carolyn's name pop up yet. So for the sake of networking, I'll just give you a brief introduction to her background. She is our federal AI focal. So what that effectively means is she leads all of our AI strategy for federal accounts and clients, Department of Defense, anything related to government, public and educational institutes, basically federal, state, and local. She does all of our AI strategy work. She is based in DC. She is unfortunately experiencing power outages right now. So was having a hard time being able to join, but a great person to connect with as well. And she would love to take any type of LinkedIn connections or connections after the fact. So feel free to reach out to her as well. So high level of IBM. I think it's kind of funny. When I first joined IBM, one of my friends asked me, "Oh, isn't that a law firm?" And I sat there and I was like, "No, not entirely." We do have a lot of lawyers, but IBM as a company has been around for about 110 years. We actually just had our 115th birthday recently. And what we started out as a company-wise was really focused on building out solutions and products for consumers. One of the first inventions that came out of IBM was actually a dishwasher. Granted, they started to go through kind of an era of realizing that maybe we need to build out more technologies and platforms for this electronic and computing market. A lot of your parents potentially, or potentially yourself, are familiar with what is our mainframe era, where we started to build out different platforms that allowed for very advanced computing for that day and age, working with things like the Apollo mission, building the platforms that and basically the mainframe systems that supported the computations for the Apollo missions. We did a lot of the work in innovation in what is now modern day storage pieces. One of the things that I really thought was kind of fun when I first joined IBM was learning about that we were the original inventors of the floppy disk. We coined the idea of PC, or a personal computer. The first IBM PC came out in 1981, and that's where that term now today comes from, as a personal computer from IBM. We have all these different technologies that we've innovated and are being invented for the past, like I said, 110 years. We actually hold, I don't think we hold the world record anymore, but we do hold probably the top three of industry or companies with active patents. We have about 122,000 patents, and that comes and stems from an organizational focus of innovation. We are constantly innovating. We are not your typical consulting or hardware or software firm. We have our own research firm. We have our own hardware capabilities. We still produce chips and tech and mainframe servers and what we call now Z machines. It's actually interesting. A lot of the chips that we actually produce prior to think of about 2021, we're going into things like Xboxes and PlayStations due to what was then the chip shortage, but we were producing chips that were then going into different products that were just our own technology. We still produce chipsets. We do that for the purposes of our mainframe systems and for our Z machines. But we are also very hyper-focused in this kind of new era that we're in, which is the cloud and AI era, or the quantum era, is building our own quantum computers, building our own AI platforms. We have a very cool offering that I recently found out about, where we have distributed clusters of AI machines that are actually going through and doing performance similar to that of how we were doing 10 years ago or 20 years ago, big data distributed computing. It's a really interesting company to work for. And one of the things that I really do love about it is you work with a lot of smart people. We have groups across the organization that are hyper-focused on just innovating, figuring out different ways to innovate. We have individuals that are, their job requirement is to come up with as many patents as humanly possible and sell them, which is a really cool endeavor, because you don't typically find that in most consulting firms, or you don't find that within most hardware software. Sometimes they will produce patents as part of their job or their responsibility, but IBM has had a history and had long-term success of producing patents and producing assets for that sheer purpose of being a leader in the space. So we're now in this AI quantum era, and we are really focusing in on the Watson X AI platform, which was actually based off of the Watson platform that had won Jeopardy back in 2021. So that's really kind of the work that we're focusing in on now, but we also have a much wider landscape that is not just quantum, that is not just AI, but also focused on things like cybersecurity, as that is, arguably speaking, an underpinning for making sure that all the things that we build out are secure and are compliant and are enabling the trust that we hope to build with all of our clients. So that's kind of us in a nutshell for the past 110 years. The other thing that I thought would probably be valuable for this audience was talking about who we are when it comes to cybersecurity. So our security offering is one that, again, more or less underpins all of the work that we do. We have a dedicated cybersecurity or security team with its own type of organizational operation structure, just because of the fact that we know that it is so important to have when dealing with technology and data systems. Our security is built into the hardware that we produce. It's built into the software that we produce. We also have dedicated applications that are constantly being innovated upon. One of the things I thought was interesting about this is we have obviously grown from a security standpoint through organic innovation and transformation. But the other piece around this is we've gone through a lot of acquisitions to ensure that we are retaining leadership status within the security space. And kind of further on in the deck, there's kind of talks about different cybersecurity conferences that we host. There are a fair amount of hackathons that we host throughout the year. We've actually, I think, increased the number of hackathons we have throughout the year, or at least co-sponsor. And so what this means to you as somebody who might be interested in cybersecurity or taking this certification into the next step of your life, what does that mean? We're an organization that looks for talented individuals that know how to do cybersecurity and that are interested in the applications for our clients, because we can build out additional platforms and products and hardware when it comes to security capabilities, but on top of that, we also are very focused on finding ways to apply those types of methodologies or find new and innovative ways to solve for potential security loopholes. So really quickly, before I kind of continue, are there any kind of pertinent questions in the chat around the two topics I kind of just covered right now?
Nope, I think you're looking good.
All right, cool. So let's see here. And then just at a high level, we have one too many offices. We have a lot of offices. One of the things that IBM prides itself is being a global company and still being a global company. We have different kind of acronyms on the left-hand side that kind of indicate where we have different types of offices, but the more important piece around this is that we are operating in every country, with the exception of a couple, but for sure every continent in the world. And that's because we want to work with the clients that we have that are in those different geographies. We are trusted, obviously, by the United States government as a partner in helping them build out technologies. I personally am helping respond in a couple of contracts right now. Many members on this team are also doing that. But we also are trusted globally with other countries as well. So it's just a very global community. One of the things that I also really love is the fact that we are able to stay connected and work with constantly with people, different time zones for sure, but individuals in different countries. I literally had a call last week with my team in Australia. So we're globally connected, and we definitely take advantage of some best-in-class technology and tools and collaboration tools to make that happen. So a little bit about the technology landscape today. So this is at a high level. And I'm going to ask kind of my counterparts when I kind of get through the high level of this to kind of speak to their experience when it comes to doing different things within the cybersecurity space, within AI, within automation. But I did just want to give it a high level. This is our landscape, and arguably speaking, I'd say it's kind of the landscape that's out there today. You will potentially find with other firms maybe a greater degree of focus on productualization of products, or more focus on services. But we acknowledge that these are kind of like the pillars that you will see within the landscape that is our modern day technology, whatever generation you want to quantify this as. First and foremost for us is AI. We have our own products, by the way, for all of these different pillars, but AI is really kind of paramount for us right now. We had a huge announcement in 2023, and we're continuing to double down and triple down on it when it comes to building out large scale self-supervised neural networks, as well as foundation models that are of our own design, as well as working with partners to build out different AI technologies. Automation is also very big for us. It's a trend within the various industries to find ways to work more efficiently, maybe not necessarily replace people, but to give them a superpower, if you will, to work with data systems and get the information that they need in a more autonomous fashion versus doing what were kind of like the old days of copy and paste, or setting up data systems that then have to kind of duplicate data throughout their environments. Data is also a big one. What we're seeing a very big shift in is a lot of executives are starting to realize that data is not just numbers, it's not just a dashboard, it's not just a pretty picture of a pie chart. It's something that they can use to make more or less executive decisions on how to work with the problems that they face on a day-to-day basis or a quarterly basis or a yearly basis. A lot of the work that I do is around these three, data automation and AI. But there's other components, obviously, within our pillar and our stack. Hybrid cloud is focused on building out what is basically systems and cloud applications within the environments that make the most sense. And we see this a lot within our federal and our state and local clients. Obviously, for high security data sets, the clients themselves, be it a particular government agency or a state agency, usually likes to retain ownership of their data if they don't want it in the cloud. So we build out infrastructures to allow them to have the best of both worlds, have that access to that data in an environment that they feel comfortable with and control with. That's where a lot of our Z machines come out of. But we also have cloud offerings to allow for that scalability that a lot of organizations look for. And obviously with hybrid cloud, that goes into talking about, how do we secure that cloud? Quantum is also top of mind for us. A lot of the work that we're doing within AI, as AI models become more and more advanced, they need more and more computing capabilities. We often, prior to quantum, and we still do a lot of this work, built out a lot of supercomputers. On the agenda slide, you probably saw like a bunch of mainframes or what looked like mainframes. Those are actually the Summit supercomputer collection that is the kind of predecessor to this quantum work that we're doing. We're now building out our own quantum computers. We are obviously a leader in this space. I don't know what the current record is, if it is still held by IBM, because I know that probably every day or at least every week, there are always private companies that are trying to push the limits of what is quantum computing and quantum technology. But it is something that we have a huge investment in, and we have in a lot of our Watson innovation centers, which are basically hubs for where we do research. We have at least one or two quantum computers or quantum computer shells sitting at those locations. So if you're ever in the area, I think there's one in Dallas, there's one in DC, I think there's one in Chicago. If you're ever in a quantum or near a quantum IBM office, we actually have museums at the base of them that you can kind of spectate if you're ever interested. And then last bit is security. For us, it's about securing, ensuring compliance, making sure that our environments and our data centers are trusted and that we don't have any type of delay in services. It's something that is obviously paramount for the work that we do. So before I kind of get into the other kind of deeper dive into this, and I will skip through the next 7 slides or so pretty quickly, but we'll give this deck out to you all so you can read more. I did want to kind of invite my co-participants to see if they had anything that they wanted to share about their experience doing work within the AI, the automation, security space, where they see that particular pillar growing as it relates to their work. So. If you're on mute, maybe not.
I can talk about security. Yeah.
Thank you.
In the security space, because I was in the IR world, I've responded to over 700 security incidents in the last 10-ish years. About half of that was like ransomware or clients going through ransomware events, which I don't see that threat necessarily going away. What I do see increasing more is like nation state trying to steal intellectual property, those types of things. A lot of the work that we're doing now is focused in zero trust, which in a few slides we'll talk about a little bit. But zero trust basically means any asset or any user, we don't want to provide any level of trust to an environment that may be considered secure. But we always want to verify that the need is still there to access the data and that the person is who they say they are. And there's a lot of work in the transformation space of security to kind of bring organizations to that level of maturity. Some industries, as you could probably imagine, are more advanced in that journey than others. Manufacturing is kind of lagging behind just because there's a significant investment when it comes to securing factories and those types of things, because there's quite frankly not a lot of tech out there or a lot of thought research out there in terms of securing those particular areas. But I do think that there's going to be a higher focus in zero trust. And then as things like AI come out, there's two forms of thought that IBM has. One is using AI for general security tasks and securing general operations, which is great. And then there's the other part, which is we're securing AI models and securing how generative AI works so that you're not feeding it bad data or poor data and coming out with outputs that could be malicious or things like that. So there's two fronts on the AI as well. And I know I haven't been involved in the quantum space as heavily, but I do know that there's quite a bit of work in quantum safe cryptography in those avenues as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Jovan.
Maybe I can comment a little bit. Yeah, just these six, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different areas, really, big areas that cut across the whole technology landscape. I think IBM's unique in that it's a technology company that's really focused on enabling other businesses to use technology, right? So, Michael, you mentioned at the beginning that we have had consumer products along the way. We started the whole personal computer kind of thing back in the 80s. But today we don't have any consumer products, right? And we really just focus on enabling businesses to apply technology. And so these kind of 6 areas do represent almost the entire technology landscape. And so within, you come into IBM, you have the opportunity to really get your hands into all of these things. Some people spend their whole lives in one of these pillars, so like security. And even within security, what I've been impressed with is how many different sub pillars there are within security. There's so many different aspects of security. There's application security, network security, cloud security, all different kinds of security, and every one of those have specialties within them as well. So there's a lot of places that somebody can build a career within any one of these pillars. But then also you can put them together too, so like security and AI, right? And security and hybrid cloud, and then we have quantum that's up and coming, and all kinds of considerations there as well. And I working with clients, I see clients kind of choosing from the smorgasbord of stuff that we have to offer. I have one client who's doing security, AI, and quantum with us right now. So a lot of opportunity, a lot of interesting things, and I just wanted to make that comment. I saw somebody raise their hand on the previous slide that was showing the map of the world. I don't know if somebody had a question about that. It flashed really quick.
I was also going to add. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in my 8 months of being here, I've also seen, with the exception of quantum, I've seen these technologies across different industries, right? So telecommunications or energy. So it's not something that's necessarily siloed. You can use it throughout, which I really like because I get to get a plethora of experience.
Thanks, Kai. I did notice that there's a couple of like chat bubbles, and I don't necessarily want to open those up, but I just want to make sure that if like we're not capturing in like Q&A, if there's any questions that are in the chat, I just want to make sure our co-moderators are keeping an eye on that. And if there's anything that we can address now before we kind of get towards the end, I'm more than happy to take some time.
Yeah, we do have one, Michael, and forgive me, it's funny because I've turned this feature on in Zoom before, but this time I actually did correctly. I'm going to click answer live. I kind of want to know what this.
Oh, yeah.
That worked? I don't think that did anything. Okay. All right. So the question is, sorry?
Oh, no, you're good. Go ahead.
Did it pop up for you? Okay. How do you perceive, and this would be to the entire panel, the folks at IBM, how do you perceive the growing popularity of infrastructure as a service in your industry? And what impact do you think will have on your business's long-term strategy? So again, how do you perceive the growing popularity of infrastructure as a service in your industry, and what impact do you think it will have on your business's long-term strategy? Good question.
I don't know if anyone wants to take this other than me, but
I have maybe a little bit of a comment there.
yeah, sure.
So I've worked on a lot of hybrid cloud data migrations, and most recently with a connected vehicle manufacturer that's moving a lot of their on-prem applications. So things like, hey, from my phone, how do I unlock my car? Or how do I turn on the AC or something like that? And IBM's uniquely positioned in that sense because they kind of jumped the hybrid cloud gun pretty early and said, "Hey, this is where we're throwing in all our eggs," right? Like with the acquisition of Red Hat and with OpenShift. If you guys don't know what OpenShift is, it's really cool technology. You guys should take a look at it. But from a security perspective, okay, how do we secure, your device and your identity that's associated with your login ID to this connected vehicle manufacturer? How do you secure the vehicle itself to not be able to have some sort of like flipper zero, if you guys are familiar with that, to just randomly unlock your car if you get close enough range? Um, I think, rather than IBM going all in on, hey, we're going to compete with Amazon or Microsoft, we said, hey, we can provide that service, no problem, in the IBM cloud, but we've done a really good job of helping customers identify the value of migrating their workloads into some sort of hybrid cloud environment, using technologies like Kubernetes and the like, Red Hat OpenShift, to kind of support customer journeys based on their use case. And I think that's kind of where I see infrastructure as a service moving, less towards, servers, just typical server, client server environments, and more towards like that cloud journey. But I'm sure others on this call also have opinions there.
I think our acquisition of Red Hat really showed kind of what our position is in that space. That we want to be the ones providing the thing that allows companies to shift their workloads across different cloud providers, right? Rather, we do have IBM Cloud. It is a thing, but it's not something that we're super focused on. It's not something that we really push with clients. We work with clients who have workloads on any cloud, right? So, and then we have the software that makes it easy to move workloads from cloud to cloud to really turn that into a more fluid market and help our clients not get locked into one particular cloud. Also, just on this whole infrastructure as a services thing, we actually divested one of our business units that did a lot of that, providing infrastructure services to clients. Kyndryl was spun off a couple years back. I don't know if anybody saw that, but anyhow, that's where a lot of our that kind of capability went. But where IBM really focuses is on this Red Hat acquisition and where we position ourselves with that.
Well, I think those are great answers to IS, and I really appreciate you all giving that opportunity to did that answer your question, Ariane? Thank you. Awesome. Okay, that's a really good response. Awesome. All right, Michael.
Cool.
Thank you. Your coworkers. That was perfect.
Keep going. All right. No, sounds good. So like I said, I'm going to kind of skip through these pretty quickly just because first off, we have these actually openly accessible, our perspectives. So each one of these pillars have basically perceive. And from a student's perspective, the way that I read this from be it the future of AI or the future of quantum or future of security is this is where we as a company are tracking towards. And arguably speaking, it's probably or somebody who is looking to get into the industry, the way that I would perceive each kind of one of these slides is this is where I need to be able to align my so that we can enable, so that I can be an individual that IBM would want to hire or other competing firms would want to hire. Because this is really one of those things where, gone are the days of technology or a component 10 years around, this is an evolving, and speaking, you in order to be competitive in what is today's job market. IBM actually puts a lot of emphasis on everyone within our organization being a lifelong learner. We have minimum required of 40 hours per year that we have to do training on, not just like standard corporate training, but training that you're interested in. And so that's highly encouraged. We have a lifelong learner program that we actually built out. We recognize individuals within our organization. And so it really goes back to this idea of, we want to be the leaders of innovation, but we also want to be the leaders of learning, because at this point with AI, with quantum, with security, everything is adapting and growing so quickly. So like I said, you're more than welcome to look at these. I'm going to kind of just go through them quickly and give you high levels, just to give you a better idea of, again, what this technology landscape looks like today. What is probably going to happen over the course of the next 7 years or so is really going to be a higher focus for AI around building out more comprehensive models and addressing things that people want to see automated or highly automated that are typically very bespoke or customized. A lot of the work that I've personally seen within the AI space has been around taking like call center work and potentially making it a little bit more automated or more high touch and friendly for a consumer, so that they don't feel like they're just navigating a phone tree or getting stuck with somebody who could have just easily pulled up this information from a different system. Using AI to kind of hone in and understand what exactly are the problems that they're calling about, and having the AI make recommendations to the live agent assistant who's working with them to make recommendations like, the AI will hear something like they've called in a couple of times and that they're having a problem with their phone service. The AI would say, we'll make sure that they've gone through and set up their roaming features on their phone, or make sure that they've connected to the latest update for their cellular network, whatever the case might be. We've given basically new ways to enhance how people work with the information that's available and make them more efficient. With automation, it's also trending in that same area. Automation and AI sometimes get kind of bucketed hand in hand together, because of the fact that with AI, you kind of have this ability to create, especially with generative AI, you have this ability to create new pathways to achieving some of the same stuff that we've been doing in the past. With automation, it's taking that new pathway and making it something that is operationalized and productionalized and more efficient overall. What we are seeing across the board is a lot of work around not only ensuring that the automations are easy and more accessible, but on top of that, and more accessible in like the form of like no code, low code type of work, but also making it something that is integratable and is something that is trusted as a core center or core platform, not just giving people free roam with these technologies, but giving them a little bit of greater degree around governance and making sure that they are trustworthy as they're being built out. So that's kind of where we're seeing a lot of this work coming out from an automation standpoint. And again, if you're looking to get into automation and AI, the things that we'll be looking for individuals is somebody who's maybe built out an automation workflow. It doesn't have to be in our IBM technologies, but is familiar with Microsoft Power Apps, or if you're not a Microsoft fan, looking at Zapier as an integration tool for automation, or Google has Google Scripts, AWS has another platform as well. Just becoming familiar with how to build out, automation pipelines is one step towards being more competitive to that of the other individuals that are applying for similar jobs. So that's definitely something that we always look for. For data is kind of funny because data touches everything. What's going to keep happening with data is organizations are going to start to become what we call data-driven. Or data-driven enterprises. Basically, they are going to be using data to make critical decisions with a greater degree of certainty. AI allows for data to become more and more valuable. One of the things that I know I look for whenever we're doing hires is individuals that not only know how to work with like Power BI and Tableau visual intelligence tools, but also individuals that know how to talk about data from a standpoint of how it's going to change or impact a business user. Data is going to be a product at some point. It is for some organizations. It is for some groups that provide data product services. So like Snowflake has the ability to sell you data, basically sets that are maybe like census data that they've gone through and refined. And so what we look for with individuals that are, going to be in the space with us is certainty around, how do you maintain a data lifecycle? What is MDM or master data management, data governance, understanding how to enable other users, business stakeholders to work with data. These are all very critical aspects that we look for with individuals that want to become data practitioners. Hybrid cloud. I don't know if anyone on the team, because I acknowledge that I'm taking of the first three pretty, but I don't know if anyone on the team wants to talk to this. If not, I can as well.
You have been voluntold.
I've been voluntold. I was going to say, I don't know if it's like the mute button's a little bit too hard to tap. So hybrid cloud, same situation that Nathan and Joe were talking about is we see this continuing to be the case. One of the things that actually is very interesting about this like migration into cloud has been that the original reason why people got into it was because there was the potential for cost savings, being able to scale up and scale down environments, not having a fixed cost within your line items or your operational budget. And what has happened, similar to that of everyone who has purchased any type of Netflix service or any type of, the different subscription services, they have found that the cost is starting to increase in the way where you're having to pick and choose and buy different things, more so than what could have just been your standard quote unquote base cable package. And so organizations are starting to realize that they are either going to need to start diversifying how they do their cloud environments, in which case they have a hybrid cloud with multi-cloud tenants, so that they can diversify their costs and have maybe, say, for example, a data set that needs to be more readily accessible and scalable might be in a Snowflake environment, but for everything that is more stagnant and doesn't necessarily need a daily or an hourly or monthly or an hourly or a minutely refresh can maybe sit in a more legacy storage set on-prem or potentially in a blob storage type set in the cloud for Azure, as opposed to being in a high cost environment like a Snowflake. And so what we're seeing is a lot of basically diversification of where people store their data. And what we see is this idea of hybrid cloud becoming paramount, helping build up the technologies and the hardware that accelerate this, but also the software and platforms around this. We have technologies that we refer to as like our Cloud Pak for Data, which is basically a data fabric solution that takes data from different systems and brings them together to be utilized for whatever the pure purposes of that data set. So this is one of those things where it's going to be, individuals that have familiarity with networking, that have familiarity with building out data pipelines, that have familiarity with all of the various cloud architectures. It's really having somebody that maybe is a jack of all trades, if you will, if you think about like that infrastructure as a service kind of offering. So for quantum, I don't know if we have a quantum expert on the call, but I can still talk about those too. The same thing is kind of what you would expect. We're continuing to scale this up. A lot of our use cases are if you've seen anything about IBM being at Watson, or I'm sorry, not Watson, at the Wimbledon or Masters, or I think the Kentucky Derby. We have a lot of work that goes into making advanced calculations in microseconds. And so the work that we do around that is going to be trying to hone and figure out ways to make these computational processors even more efficient to reach new levels of qubit processing. And I'd say if you have a passion for quantum entanglement and understanding the physics of it all, you are more than welcome to reach out. We have a lot of folks that do research around this for us. We have individuals with multiple PhDs that are very focused in on this. This is probably more of our hardware aligned arm, but we do have managed like quantum service for individuals that are looking to do interesting things with the quantum capabilities. So a lot of kind of cool stuff in that area. And then security, again, making things more quantum safe. So kind of what Jobin talked about, focusing on zero trust and quantum safe, making cryptography. Oh, Nathan, go ahead. Sorry.
Just on that last slide on quantum, I'd say you have that reference to Qiskit, Qiskit. Anybody who's interested in quantum and dipping their hands in it, I encourage you to go look at Qiskit. It is a open source, what would you call it, educational platform for everybody to learn quantum. So you can go take free courses there and learn how to program on a quantum computer. You can even, I think, run your programs on an actual quantum computer if you learn enough. But it's all free and it's a great resource. And we believe that this is the direction that computing is going to go over the coming decade. It's
Awesome.
never going to replace traditional computers, but it will become a whole nother set of capability for the human race.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nathan, for sharing. And also, I'll throw out towards the end of this, we have additional content for like where you can find free training from us. All of our, there's free tiers for all of IBM Cloud. So if there's anything that you're interested in from a standpoint of like getting access to some type of platform that allows you to do quantum work or AI work or just data work, you're more than welcome to sign up. There's free tiers for everything that we have. It's obviously limited in some extent of what you can do, but you can always kind of fool around within the environments themselves and kind of get an understanding of how our systems work. So it's kind of cool to do that. We also have additional training I'll talk about towards the end. So yeah, security, same situation, driving towards that future goal. And like I said, if you click onto the IBM roadmaps, all of this information is built out in an interactive UI. So you're more than welcome to take a look. Any questions that were brought up in the Q&A?
No, I'm doing a terrible job being a moderator for the last 1 minute since you mentioned Qiskit. Is that how I say it?
Yeah, it's spelled Q-U or Q-I-S kit. So Q-I-S.
So you just need Python and you can install it. This is awesome. No, this learning environment y'all have is really cool. So I'm excited to check that out later. I have a few questions in Q&A, but several are about just working at IBM. So I'm going to save that towards the end. I believe that you have a slide about like what it might be.
Yeah.
But I do have a couple of quick questions. It's funny because I feel like we had a handful of medics and corpsmen in the group, so this is very timely. If you all have any interesting projects IBM has currently or previously worked on in healthcare technology, patient care, data analytics, or governance, we have a question from Robert with a little bit of interest in that. So again, that's what kind of, if any, interesting projects IBM is currently working on in healthcare in regards to patient care, data analytics, or governance. Good question. So any ideas from our friends at IBM?
I'm sure we do. Does anyone want to start before I jump in?
I know that I just posted a couple of links. We did some really cool work with Mayo. And then I know back before AI became really big, Mayo was using Watson for like cancer research and things like that. We have a cool case studies page on the IBM website. And of course, when I copied and pasted, it didn't copy the whole thing as a link. So that may have screwed up a little bit, but I'll try to put that there. You can filter by the industry, and some of our clients try to stay confidential, so not every client we've worked with has a case study out there. But if you filter by healthcare, you could see all the different clients that have agreed to make their story known. And there's a lot of cool stories about how they've used different aspects of IBM to kind of grow their healthcare organization or help diagnose different types of illnesses, et cetera.
That's a good one. The one that I know from like an AI standpoint within life sciences is we're using our technology and obviously our framework for doing AI to actually help with defining new combinations for medication. So typically speaking, labs have gone through in the past and built out testing grounds to see, what are the potential interactions between this medication and that medication. But by feeding a foundation model, a set of criteria around what is the parameters and the degrees of interaction that occur between commonly understood medications, we're actually helping one of our current clients go through and test out all future medications and understand what would be the potential implications of connecting this medicine type with a different medicine type that is commonly found in patients that take the medicine that they're currently producing, to help identify straightforward avenues to identify what might be potential risk factors for their medication. And one of the things that's also nice about this or very cool about this is it's not just a you feed in the medication and they call it a day. Because of how focused IBM is on ensuring that the AI solutions that we produce are governed, are trustworthy, are accurate, they're and unbiased. They are also very much focused on, for this particular client, doing a human in the loop process where after we've gone through and gotten this kind of spit out list from the AI of like, these are the potential harmful side effects of these medications combining, they're going through and validating and providing that information back into the model to make sure that it's able to understand that this implication that it identified is actually not as big of a concern, maybe like a false positive. But the one that it did identify was accurate and that it could cause problems for individuals of these types of criteria set, be it certain ages, or in certain types of illnesses, stages of their life, stuff like that. That's definitely one that's very cool. And then actually, I also for around governance, this one is around public and education. But myself and Carolyn just recently were towards the tail end of this, but we built out a relationship with a education tech firm that provides accessible test questions. They're referred to as Smarter Balance. I can talk about them because we had a huge press release with them. But we basically helped them build out their pillars by which they want all of their future AIs that they construct to be designed around students in mind, making sure that when students interact with an AI, it doesn't give them hallucinations or any type of bias that would typically happen or could potentially happen with AIs of today. And what was so interesting about this was focusing in on the aspects of ensuring governance around data, governance of the AI itself, but also thinking about the human element and really kind of pushing the envelope on what is a human AI interaction, not only at the typical adult level, but also thinking about it as a student, as a child who is working with these AIs. That's something that IBM is very passionate about, is making sure that we are building out pillars that we apply ourselves, but also working with clients to help them identify what are additional pillars that they feel are necessary for their AI applications. So that one was very cool as well.
Cool, thank you both. Those are perfect answers. I think in the same realm, talking about AI, we have one question about whether IBM offers speech-to-speech translation products as part of their AI services. I know I'm familiar with speech-to-text and vice versa with Watson, but speech-to-speech in particular, I don't know what that's hard to say. So anything y'all doing in that realm?
So we do, it's actually kind of funny. It was something that we invested in 2010 timeframe. So early 2000s, basically. I forget what it's called, to be quite honest, and it was before I joined, so it wasn't something I readily had access to, but we did have an offering that we had built out around that. Obviously now with foundation models, multimodal models, basically, and multimodal is basically an AI generative model that has the ability to not only do text-based translation or interpretation or image, but also speech, audio, basically. So we have multimodals that we've built out that have this functionality. Something that the team is very focused on right now is making them sound natural. Obviously, for healthcare purposes, for government purposes, for education purposes, the disembodied house sounding kind of voice isn't super fun. So, and it kind of distracts from what the intention of the AI is trying to do. So we are trying to build out what could be comparable to like a light version of a digital twin. So that it has a persona, it has a representation that sounds more humanoid and arguably speaking is a little bit more trustworthy than just a digitized voice. So that is something that is on our pipeline, and we're building out the functionality language by language because we want to ensure that it's as accurate and has the right level of quality as much as possible.
Awesome answer. It feels like and I always do this, but we're getting closer to, I think it's the Phantom Menace in Star Wars. I think it's episode 1 where like Qui-Gon and the other Jedi can just put that thing in their mouths and they can translate any single language they want. One day we'll get something like that. That's really great. I think we had a couple other questions about patents that Nathan and Jobin were able to answer in the chat, which is awesome. So the other question in the Q&A right now, Michael, probably good for the end about working at IBM. So I think we're good.
So cool. I'll jump into that. This is kind of maybe working at IBM post-graduation. Oh, I kind of skipped over too fast. What do we look for in our potential candidates? And then, how does one maintain a competitive edge within this wonderful world of AI? So One of the things that I really like, again, I like a lot of things about IBM. There's a reason why I picked this as my current job and company. But I think the biggest one is the value to the people. Again, being a company that has produced tons of patents, there is a focus on bringing smart, educated individuals to our organization. We have a framework by which, I don't know if you necessarily find it a lot of companies anymore, but one that encourages the continuation and development of your skill set and your knowledge base as much as you possibly can. There's actually a lot of job hopping and division hopping that occurs within IBM. We actually have an internal job board. I'm somebody who actually took advantage of this at one point in my career at IBM, where I found myself in a part of an organization that I just didn't necessarily. I liked it, but it wasn't something that was calling to me every day. And I realized, you know what, I have a greater alignment with this part of the organization. And it allowed me to internally job hop with full transparency to pay, what the roles and responsibilities expectation were, and jump into a different role that allowed me to become our AI and strategy or data strategy leader. Where before I was more working on kind of a team type of component. So I've gone from more of like an experienced person to more of an expert within IBM. And what I really like about that is the ability to have that type of, be it lateral move or that type of progressive move from whatever particular role you start at. There is a lot of opportunity within IBM to actually grow your career. And I would say that one of the things it was told to me the first day I started and still holds true. Working at IBM is kind of like working in the Wild West. Whatever you can stake a claim towards, no pun intended with UNCC, whatever you can stake a claim towards, you, arguably speaking, can figure out a way to make that part of your new, be it your competencies or, arguably speaking, your new role. I know a lot of people that wanted to do a lot more work within IBM research, made the right connections, networked accordingly, and were able to jump into a role with even a pay bump within the same company. And it was a very fair pay bump without having to leave IBM. We focus on making sure that our people are our priority, and that we do a lot of work to make sure that they feel connected and part of a community. So. I don't know if there's any questions, but if not, I'll keep going. What we also look for is individuals that are familiar with how we work. I would say that you guys are all kind of getting the under the covers look of how we do what we do, but a lot of this stuff is, arguably speaking, available online as well. One of the things that we acknowledge is IBM is not IBM on an island. We obviously are an industry leader, but there are also other industry leaders in the same avenue, and we work with them. It's gone of the days of just IBM, the IBM way, only way. We partner with Microsoft, we partner with Oracle, we partner with Google and AWS. We partner with basically what would be considered our competitors, and the reason for that is we acknowledge that we are good at what we do, they are good at what they do. And when we work with our clients, we want individuals that understand that, yes, our IBM technology was built from the ground up. It's built oftentimes as a problem that somebody saw internally, and just wanted a fix for. And then it grew into something very magnificent usually. But when you think about that next level of working with what you can consider our competitors, we work with them because we acknowledge that they are leaders in their industry as well, and they have different capabilities. And so when I think about individuals that I hire for my team, I'm looking for somebody that's not just necessarily IBM technology. I'm looking for somebody who has background in Microsoft or Google or whatever the case might be. We have a lot of kind of first-tier client or competitors that we alliance with, basically. And then we have our second tier that we work with that are maybe more kind of new, focused on a specific area of success. So like DocuSign is very specific to doing contracting, where Microsoft is kind of full service suite. So we have different levels by which we engage, and we like individuals that are able to work at those different levels. When it comes to networks, I brought this up just for the sake of, and again, you'll all have access to this, and I'll send it out. You don't have to read the tiny font, but one that I thought would be very interesting for this group and kind of with that alignment with cybersecurity is a recent network or alliance that we've established with Palo Alto Networks. Very cybersecurity focused on things like SOC transformation, DevOps security, cloud native protection of platforms and applications, secure access, identity access management, etc. IBM established this relationship because we recognize that obviously they are a leader in the work that they do. And we wanted to leverage that. We wanted to have that kind of cross-pollination between our clients and their clients. And what this has allowed for us to do is to build out two very recently developed platforms, one for a major international airline and another one for a healthcare client that was focused on helping them achieve not only a hybrid cloud environment for the airline, but one that was secured, that they had full trust and belief in when it came to the environment itself and what it was housing when it came to its customer and its plane data and it's all of its information that they were collecting for the purposes of doing their business. Same being true for the healthcare client as well. We do our partnerships with intention, and we like to have individuals that are familiar with all of the capabilities, not necessarily all of them for one individual person, but if there's something that's aligned to cyber versus AI versus data, we like to see that there's a breadth as well as a depth to your experience. Alrighty. One of the things that we also kind of talk about a lot, and hopefully the level of what you know about IBM is out there, but also we're kind of helping educate on that. Is we have a very good breadth when it comes to the Fortune 500 companies. If you're looking for a company to work with for the future, we have a fair amount of them looped into our client pool, be it from, again, any of the pillars of technology that we talked about earlier. But what's so nice about that is we do a lot of innovative work, a lot of cool, innovative things that, when I compare my experiences in previous firms, all very good. But the amount of work that we do that is so hyper-focused on pushing the envelope, on making something greater than it was before, making new and innovative ways, you get a lot of experience and a lot of exposure, and we have so many clients to pull from. There was somebody within our marketing acquisition team that was telling something incredible, that we have thousands of clients that touch our website on a daily basis, and sometimes people opt in to provide information about them. Our generation of new leads is astronomical, just because of the fact that we are IBM. We are a brand that people know and that have been knowing for generations. So when you think about working for consulting firm, not to say that other ones aren't great, but we do have that breadth of industries, and it's really kind of jaw-dropping, quite frankly, when it comes to the number of clients that we have that build out the work that we do. So let's see here. So, and then I had it threw in here kind of our focus on, again, you all have this background of working within our government, and I wanted to kind of also throw out where we have capabilities around national security and public service, civil government. All of our offerings are federal practice, so what Carolyn's part of, and policy work. So we have, again, we have contracts with almost every single department within the U.S. government, but we also work with other national entities, and we do a fair amount of local and state work as well. That's actually where a lot of our healthcare work comes from, is building out local and state healthcare systems to help build, make healthcare more accessible or more advantageous for the constituents. So I think this is one of the last slides. Just talking about our, who we are as a company. We are one of the top 12 management consulting firms when it comes to our consulting acumen. We have been, again, a leader and ranked probably on more sites than we can count around our focus to people and innovation. For veterans specifically, we have a program called Boots for Blue. We have dedicated business resource or employee resource groups for veterans. We do seek out veterans a lot of times too, because of your background, because of your level of experience, and because of your commitment to our country. We want to give back to you and help encourage you to join our company and join and help us make a positive impact for our clients. One of the things that we do focus on is really honing in on the people themselves, and we build out very organic communities to help support the individuals within each representative business resource group or employee resource group. I myself used to be our sponsor for I think 3 of them, and then I have kind of shifted. I can't do 3 all at once, but I do still maintain one of our business resource groups for my practice as well. So a lot of dedicated kind of volunteer-based involvement from a lot of our leadership. It's because we have a passion for our people. So. And then last but not least, if you are interested in working for IBM, and actually I'm seeing that the window is kind of covering this, but we have our IBM.com careers page. To Nathan's point, it's pretty easy to kind of scroll into that and see that information. We also we're a company that likes to do certifications and trainings. So we encourage you to take a look at any of our free training offerings down here on the left-hand side. We have a fair amount of them. This cognitiveclass.ai is very cool. It actually pulls in from other platforms to give you the ability to look at like edX or Coursera courses, not just IBM specific certifications. And it all loops into Credly, which is like a badging platform that you can kind of share on your LinkedIn. We have a lot of events that we host, both virtually as well as in person. For those that are in the cyberspace, you'll probably see a lot of them more kind of aligned to Dallas and DC. But we do have a virtual tech exchange that's kicking off in September. You can go and register for it now. And it's an opportunity to work with other individuals that are trying to, join this session. But it's basically like I lost the word, but it's an exchange of technology, and you're doing different use cases and business cases. But it's free to register, and you get to connect with IBMers there. There'll be IBM mentors basically, and then we also have our yearly security summit that's coming up in I think Q4 2024. But there's also a tech community that you can also jump into between now and then. And then feel free to build your network. You have all of our LinkedIns and names. You're more than welcome to connect with us or ask questions. And then we also have blog posts about what are our open innovation communities, which is basically an opportunity to join the conversation about things that we're innovating on. And there's a wide breadth of kind of the things that we work through. The piece of work that I did for our client Smarter Balance, that ed tech firm, had an open innovation community. So you basically get to partake in contributing to some of the things that we work on with clients without necessarily being part of IBM. It's because we are very open to more or less advancing for the sake of advancing and making it a very public forum. So that's kind of some high level items around that. Again, can't stress enough to Steve's point, networking is always a good way to go. But with that said, I think we're good to kind of open up to the floor to the Q&A part and the questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, that was an excellent presentation. And I also just want to say, and I say this a lot in these presentations, or really anytime I talk to students here in the CWCT program, if somebody, and I'm talking to the attendees tonight, if somebody says you can connect with me on LinkedIn, if you're interested in working for that company, if you're interested in asking a question through on networking, take advantage of that. If they offer that, they mean it. So please, that's seriously such a good opportunity to start networking. I think I'll kick us off if that's okay, Michael. We've got a handful of questions kind of all under the same guise. And for Jobin and Kai, the CWCT program, a bit about our program, but we have a very diverse student. The vast majority are either active military or veterans. We have a handful of first responders and law enforcement personnel. But the education levels are all over the place. We've got folks with PhDs. We have folks who have not gotten their undergraduate degree. They're transitioning right out of the military, everything in between. So I think the biggest question I get from our students, and this is kind of echoing some of the questions tonight, entry-level jobs, what does it take to actually get your foot in the door? Everybody asks that question, but at IBM in particular, a lot of our students, they may or may not have a degree or an advanced degree, but all of them are coming out with a handful of certifications in addition to our certificate from the program. And those could be your A+, your Sec+, your Cyber Ops, your EC Council CEH, CHFI, your Python Essentials, pretty cyber specific. But I guess my question is, if you're an entry level if you're searching for an entry-level role, you're a student here in the audience right now, you're thinking IBM sounds like a really cool company. What's your advice, and are there opportunities for entry-level positions?
I can take this one. So I would say for my veterans and of course everyone else, I would say network, reach out to people on LinkedIn and ask questions. If you are connected with someone who's connected with someone else, feel free to ask them to put in a referral. You can also use me. I love helping veterans, which is why I'm on this call. So that would be my first way of saying how to get in the door is through your connections, and then also making sure you tailor your resume to really meet the job description, like literally word from word. It needs to say that in your resume. As far as are we currently hiring for entry level? I want to call you Mo, but Michael, I'll put that on you. I haven't seen anything, but also I haven't been looking.
So yeah, our we do cycles just like every other company. Our cycle for what will be, I think it's starting in September. When we'll start doing hiring for new hires, basically like what you would be your like graduation group is going to be right around September, October timeframe. All of our jobs are posted on the job board, be it entry level or not. The only thing I think that's an exception, there's technically another pipeline for executives, but and if anyone feels like they qualify for that, reach out. I can try to find that link. But yeah, we have that's our general go-to location. But I would also throw out to Kai's point around the connections. Making connections with our recruiters is also a great way. I mean, obviously connect with our managers and individuals that are on this call, but if you find, if you end up at like a networking event, be it virtual or in person, connecting with one of our recruiters, they do have a pool of individuals whenever a job opening becomes available that they will usually go to. That's like their favorite group, their individual that they really had a good connection with. And they realize, you know what, I'd love to bring this person in. I'm just waiting for the right job opportunity to become available. That would also be a great way to kind of get yourself pulled into IBM in that regard. And I also did notice that there was some call outs around like apprenticeships on cybersecurity. We do have like a co-op program for sure. We do summer internships as well. The apprenticeship piece, depending on how you define that, we have like our baseline hires, but we do also have like individuals that maybe want to learn on the job. And the way that we do that is you get hired at a certain level, and then we would train you through the process. And then at the end of your training, you'd be eligible for potentially a promotion after doing a great amount of work for about a year or so. So we kind of build out that ability to kind of further know, train with us, if you will, and really kind of grow your experience while also if you feel like you're maybe not reaching the level of candidacy that, is maybe posted on the job. But again, it's like working like at the Wild West here. If you can figure out a way to kind of finagle it, nobody's necessarily going to stop you.
I always, that's a perfect answer. I appreciate y'all. I always add to that, Michael, if to the students that are out there, if you're ever talking to somebody, it is always perfectly acceptable to say, hey, thank you so much for your time. And if they say that's not the job that, maybe you're a good fit for, or maybe that's not the area of expertise that fits for you, or just they're not hiring, it's okay to ask, hey, do you know who I could talk to ask about a entry-level job in hybrid cloud stuff? I mean, you can always do that. And I want to make sure that everybody here feels empowered to do so, because so many jobs, whether it's IBM or not, are through networking. So great answer from y'all. And I think honestly, we have, and I think we got most of the questions answered. And I know the case study for the ed tech company mentioned the presentation. I don't know if any of you have a link for that. That was asked for as well. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. But honestly, at this point, if you guys are comfortable with it, I know we're pushing 8:30, and I'd like to close this out in the next, 10, 15 minutes. If you're not using the Q&A function, or you're not using the comments, feel free to just raise your hand, old school style, if you just want to come on camera or just come off mute and ask a question to our friends here at IBM before we close out. Don't be shy. If you've got a question, this is the free-for-all, true open discussion section. Tisha, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I actually have a question. It's about trying to get into IBM and trying to get into IBM, but governance is actually an interest of mine. I'm a QA, so kind of makes sense. So as a QA, I'm just trying to figure out, how it works within IBM and the governance. And I know this one of the from I looked at the one sheet, and it says that's one of the efforts that you guys are pursuing and ramping up. I find it hard to find information on governance sometimes. It's like everybody wants data, but they don't want to govern it. So I don't understand. I'm like, do you guys have resources I can see? And
Yeah, so one of the things that, and it's funny you say that it's sometimes hard to find that. I think that's actually a very fair statement, because of the fact that I think that people sometimes group governance in with security and privacy. And when it comes to building out like a proficiency with data governance, it also will sometimes get grouped under like data strategy as a whole. So like it kind of sits in a weird area. What I would say is, as far as like getting more information about like how we do governance and what we're focused in on, there's an organization that IBM sponsors that's the DAMA, which is Data Management Organization. I'll put the link in the chat. But they are basically like the general guide, if you will, with how to do data management strategy. We've been a longtime sponsor of theirs. Actually, one of their former presidents was one of our employees. But we more or less adhere to that type of practice around data governance in and of itself. And we also have a fair number of tools and suite capabilities that basically allow for the advancement of data governance, master data management, et cetera. I'd say if you're interested in kind of understanding more and more about our perspective, we do have a lot of blog posts around it, because data governance is something that's critical to ensuring that data systems are accurate. But then on top of that, now with AI, the AI systems are accurate too.
okay, thank you.
Something I wanted to say really quick, you just triggered something in my memory when I was applying for roles. I would say be open. So if you want to get into governance and you don't see a role, find something that you're qualified and you would enjoy doing. And then once you get in, then try to switch over into a role that you are more passionate about. So it's a matter of getting in the door and then potentially pivoting from there, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I'm still trying to figure out how to get into IBM. You guys are tough. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Maybe a little bit of encouragement there. I think I applied to IBM like 5 times before I got in. So it's not necessarily like personal or anything. Obviously, like there's business needs that need to be met and all that stuff. But I wouldn't be discouraged, like everyone here has said, just make sure you network, make sure you reach out, try to take an interest in the people that you're trying to network with and hopefully something comes up out of that.
Thanks. I kind of needed that encouragement. I'm spending a lot of time hugging leak codes right now. So
Well, thank you for asking that question. Thanks for answering it, our friends at IBM. Last kind of chance. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Michael. I forgot about that one. And any last chance for a question? If you want to come off mute, this is kind of your last chance. I'm going to go ahead and close this out here pretty shortly. We do have a picture we'd like to do. So if there's no other questions, what we were really hoping to do is just a quick screenshot. So for those that are interested in coming off camera, we would love to have you. If you do not want to be a part of the picture, it'll probably be just a marketing thing on LinkedIn or something like that. But this is kind of your cautionary statement. If you don't want to be in it, don't. But if you'd like to be featured in an IBM promo, that'd be pretty cool. So if you want to come off camera, Michael, what the best way to be? Take off the spotlights or keep them on?
Yeah, probably take off the spotlights. Then I think it will keep just the 4 of us in here. So I don't know how to do that from my end.
Yeah, does that work?
Let's see here.
Did I do it?
Maybe. Hang on.
They're like a gallery mode or something.
That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm not. We use Teams now.
If
There
you
we
go
go.
up to the top, yeah, you got it.
Yep, I got it. There we go. I don't know if I changed it for everyone or what, but
All right, turn those cameras on, folks, if you'd
all
like.
right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be sure to obviously, if anyone wants to be tagged in it, feel free to connect with me, and then I will be sure to add you as well.
Let's see if we get the full screen open. So we just need about 10 more folks. Sorry if you're in the middle of your dinner. I'm about to eat mine. And while we're doing that, and I think this is a great opportunity just to say thank you. So while everyone's on camera, thank you to all of the students that came out tonight. Thank you to our alumni, our friends, our partners, but a huge thank you to IBM. I know it's an evening, it's Thursday, we're coming up on a long weekend, but this information is not only interesting and valuable, this is an opportunity to learn more about a company. This is an opportunity to network. And hopefully for a few of you, this might be an opportunity to eventually work at IBM. And that's why we're here and that's why we're doing this. So thank you to you all specifically, and thank you to IBM for making the time to do this, but also in your pursuit of being a veteran-ready company. We really appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Steve. I'm going to take the picture here in 3, 2, 1. So smile. Very cool. I think I got everyone. Whoop. Yep.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's kind of funny on Zoom. I don't really know when the flash happened, right? It just
Yeah.
The cameras are gone. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Anything else you want to close out? Otherwise, I'm going to say goodnight.
No, I think we're good. I appreciate everyone's time.
Seriously, and thank you. And my last thing, everybody that's in here, if they offer their LinkedIn,
Thanks, everyone.
they offer the opportunity. Thank you so much, Kai, to network with them, take advantage of that. It's an excellent opportunity. At the very least, you're going to learn something, and maybe it'll lead to something very fruitful for many of you. And I like that Jobin said he applied to IBM 5 times. I know what that feeling is like out there in the job market, especially in IT and cybersecurity.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, friends at IBM. Thank you, CWCT students, family, faculty, partners, and alumni. You all have a great night, and we will see you at the next one. This recording will be live next week. Thanks again, everybody.